Om Shalom. New releases. I'm sitting here with Nipper. I need to get this light adjusted. Nipper. You know Nipper, RCA, that's my dog. Nipper, his master's voice. Om Shalom. We're playing in the background a reissue on Parlophone of a 60s or 70s, who knows, 1967, Lord Sitar. Lord Sitar. Sitar covers. This is If I Were a Rich Man from Fiddler on the Roof, the Jewish Israeli musical If I Were a Rich Man, the yaddy-daddy-daddy-daddy-daddy-daddy. Daydream Believers on here, Eleanor Rigby, I'm the Walrus, kind of faux sitar crap, Muzaki, ambiance, bachelor plaid music. That's why I'm sitting here with my psychedelic Indian pillow and Nipper and my lounge music. This is a video about new releases, new stuff, not those smelly, moldy, smutty, used records that you give a headache. I've done this before, so this is not a new thing. But if you're new to me, you haven't seen this before. So, recent releases, things I got the last couple weeks. Let's say it's an October release date, because now we're November 1st, 2019. These are old. I mean, these are from last month. Okay. I haven't even opened this one yet. Dukes of the Stratosphere. Love Dukes of the Stratosphere. Faux psychedelic. This is basically, if you don't know it, XTC under the name Dukes of the Stratosphere from the late 80s, I believe. Just reissued on Ape, their in-house kind of record label. And there's actually a CD surround 5.1 remastered by Steven Wilson, the great Steven Wilson, who's doing all these wonderful remasters of a lot of prog stuff, Jethro Tull and Yes Maybe, all those kind of things. But 25 o'clock, total psychedelic. They did almost like a funny parody on psychedelic bands and did it better than most 1966, 67 psychedelic bands. But Andy Partridge, Colin Moulding, etc. Exactly, basically XTC. They weren't selling, and they all of a sudden broke selling under the name Dukes of the Stratosphere. One's an EP, one's an album. Sonic, Sunspot, and 25 o'clock. The genius of XTC. Okay. Gabby Moreno and Van Dyke Parks. I showcase this a little bit, I think. The version is amazing of Across the Borderline, co-written by Jim Dickerson, John Haidt, and Ry Cooder. A very wonderful, timely song of immigrants coming across the borderline. In Spanish, Van Dyke Parks, you may know, who worked with Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. He worked on a Joanna Newsom album about 10 years ago, the YS album. Gorgeous record, Spanish, English, Ry Cooder's on a track, Jackson Browne co-sings on a track, on Non-Such Records. Really beautiful. If you like, she's been around about a decade now, and her voice is gorgeous, from South America. Love this record, love this record. The Stephen King of record making. Neil Young keeps making records. Some people love this record, some people hate this record. First record he's done with Crazy Horse in about a decade. Colorado. I think it's pretty amazing. It takes a while to get into. Some of it's just like weird political climate change lyrics. Not weird, because that's a good thing in my book, but kind of not the most ingenious lyrics. Nils Lofgren is back with Crazy Horse on this record, but I can't have too much Neil Young. In my sped up time-lapse photography video, you saw a clip of this, but Colorado, for the Neil Young diehard, but I'm enjoying it a lot. Okay, after afterwards, you have Cigarettes After Sex. Now, more of the same. If you heard their first album, it's really one guy like in Brooklyn or something. Very easy going. You swear it's a woman singing. It's a guy. I didn't even remember his name right now. Knitting Factory Records, Brooklyn. Probably Brooklyn guy. Probably made it in his room, his dormitory, or his apartment. Really easy, moody. You know, I'm not going to say it's like Mazzy Star, but it's in that vein. He's got a feminine voice, but gorgeous voice. Easy kind of, it's like stoner, if you're smoking opium, this is what it's like listening to this record. Not that I've smoked opium before, but Cigarettes After Sex, brand new album. More the same, but more the same could be good in this case. Van Morrison puts out like 2 or 3 records a year, and his voice sounds great. I'm going to go see him again, I think, in California, in Oakland, in a small club. He sounds amazing. His stuff, maybe not groundbreaking like the old Van Morrison. In fact, I'm going to be doing within the next month, I'm going to do a feature video on Van Morrison, because one of my very favorite musicians, the cantankerous Irish Van Morrison, who lived in the Bay Area in the 70s, lived in San Anselmo in Marin County. But this sounds great. His voice sounds as good as ever. A little lower but deeper, but great soulful modern singer. Still great. Van Morrison. It's a Christmas song. Faux sitar Christmas. Hey, nipper down, boy. I'll feed you after this. I'll take you for a walk. Haven't listened to this yet. I mean, I know the album, but 50th anniversary of Arthur. There's a box set, CD box set with outtakes, alternate versions. It's everything. My favorite, or at least my top 3 favorite Kinks albums, Arthur. Maslow's a Kinks completist, so I got the double record for 2 LP set of Arthur. Haven't even popped it open yet. I don't do unboxing. I do unboxing, but not opening the box. Give me a fucking break. The box should be open. I don't need to see you opening a fucking box. Okay, people hate me when I say that, but come on. We want to see what's inside. I get it. At least pre-score it, right? Open it up and don't cut the tape before we watch it. I'm getting that glare in my glasses here, I can see. Okay. I think Greg from the Vinyl Rundown talked about this documentary, Echo in the Canyon. I finally saw it. It was directed by Andrew Slater, who was the president of Capitol Records for a while, and co-produced and co-written by Jacob Dylan. Is it Jacob Dylan or the other Dylan? I think it's Jacob Dylan from the Wallflowers. Jacob Dylan. Some people think he's in it too much, but I get it. I totally get it. It's not a definitive thing about Southern California rock in the 60s. It's about 1965 to 1967, really about 4 bands. 4 bands that really started the whole thing there. And I loved it. I really liked this. And I liked that he mixed new bands and old bands, or new artists with the old. The bands he talks about are the Byrds, obviously, one of my favorites. The Byrds, the Mamas and Papas, Buffalo Springfield, and the Beach Boys. That really kind of started that whole Laurel Canyon sound. And there's there's people like Fiona Apple, Norah Jones, Beck, Cat Power, and Neil Young. Well, Neil Young's only in the closing credits, but I like this more than I thought. If you don't look at it as a definitive thing of Southern California 60s pop and rock, of course, where's Joni Mitchell? Where's this band and that band? You can totally get into that whole thing. Why weren't they there? But they took a moment of these 4 bands and expanded on it, and I was touched. I love the documentary. It's on Netflix now, so I ordered up. I haven't listened to it yet, but I ordered up the vinyl soundtrack, which is the new artist doing these songs. In My Room by Fiona Apple, the great Beach Boys song. Never My Love with Norah Jones by The Association. Bells of Rhythmney, which Beck did. Beck does it here. Bird Song. Expecting to Fly, Regina Spektor. Great Neil Young song, Buffalo Springfield. But I'm really digging this. At least I'm digging what I heard so far. And I highly recommend this if you like that kind of feel. You want some, not hipster necessarily. All these artists probably are in their 40s now, so they're not the young kids, but they're really great. Cat Power, great voice. Beck, Regina Spektor, love it. Norah Jones, love it. Mazzy recommends this. Watch the documentary. Don't expect it to be an overall definitive thing, and be open to newer, younger artists doing these songs and how they embrace it. Loved it. LA, I love you, babe. Okay. Beatle Connection, Completist, Ringo Starr. I've only listened to this once so far because I have the CD also. I just got the vinyl. In fact, let's do an opening. This is supposed to be blue vinyl. We'll see if they service me blue or not. Ringo, does the same things. He's fine. His actually voice is stronger than Paul McCartney's is these days. And if this isn't blue, I'm going to sue. I'm going to sue their asses. There we go. It's blue vinyl. But he's kind of like 79 years old. He's going to be 80 years old. Ringo, you don't need this record unless you're a completist. But I got to say, what I love about it is there's a song on here called Grow Old With Me. And Grow Old With Me was a demo that John Lennon did on a tape. The producer, Jack Douglas, who produced Double Fantasy, showed the tape, and Ringo's heard that version there's some outtake albums that Yoko's put out that Grow Old With Me is on, and recently gave Ringo a copy of the tape where on the tape John Lennon says this would be a great song for Ringo. So of course now Ringo covers it. Paul McCartney sings a harmony on it, although you can hardly hear Paul. I think he's mixed too low. But it's a beautiful song, Grow Old With Me, Ringo Starr. What's my name? What's my name? Ringo, the only Beatle that Mazzy met in person. So there we go. And lastly, this album came out early this year, but I just got turned on to it. It's a guilty pleasure. It's on Light in the Attic, Seattle record company, reissue label, and it's a comp called Pacific Breeze Japanese City Pop, 1976 to 1986. So it's poppy, disco-y, Japanese, and it's wonderful. It's amazing. Look at this beautiful cover art. 2-record set. Here we go. Oh, is this a poster? Oh, this is the flyer of it. But this is one of those guilty pleasures that's not for everybody, but it's really a fucking cool record. Again, Pacific Breeze, Japanese City Pop from 1976 to 1986. Very poppy, disco-y, dancey, ethereal. Not ethereal, that's wrong. But very commercial. Look at that inside. Isn't it great when they print inside a record? Anyway, that's Mazzy's new releases or recent releases. And again, in the background, we're listening to Lord Sitar, the wonderful Lord Sitar reissue on Parlophone Records from 1967. Mazzy loves you. I'm going to take Nipper for a walk out, take her for a pee, and there'll be a whack-a-mole tomorrow morning. Take care. Love you, VC. Push the button, Mazzy. Mazzy loves you.